Ollie Bearman's fast. And you can see on data as well. He's going through corners in that car last year that he shouldn't have been quicker than Leclerc, but he is. And it's like, this guy is an animal.
Enzo Mucci is a performance mind coach and life coach and continues to coach the mind of Britain's latest Formula One star, Oliver Bearman. Sainz has appendicitis in Saudi. And was it Bearman just got pole in Formula 2?
Yeah, then we're in breakfast. Phone rang. It was Fred from Ferrari. And then Chris just stood up, walked out and started to take it. And then it was, I think we're on. And he's like, what do you mean? And then it was all just panic, go.
He was exceptional last year, but there was a point where his end to the season was like world championship-esque.
He's kind of insanely fast, but it's a bit loose in the way he goes out. He's susceptible to mistakes. You've got to direct that animal. And if you give him something to think about, he murders everyone, I promise you.
I know you weren't officially working with Liam last year, but did you speak to him after that period of time when he got dropped by Red Bull, which I'm sure must have been really difficult for him?
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was difficult. Like he wanted more time to get his head around it. You can't say it's the top 22 drivers of the world are there, right? You'd be shocked actually at some of the levels. You'd be shocked that they're just normal kids.
Thank you to Formula Escapes for sponsoring this video. More on them later. Mr. Enzo, welcome back.
Hello, boys.
There's going to be some people that don't know who you are or haven't watched the previous one. So give a brief overview on what you do and who you are.
So Enzo Mucci is the name. I started off as a driver coach in the 90s, some time ago now. So a lot of your viewers would be a bit young, maybe not even born then. And made my way through the sport doing race schools, one-to-one coaching with drivers. And actually, it was probably the start of the 2000s where I really started to get into mental performance because I saw that that's the bit, which we'll talk about a lot, I think, today. It's the operating system that controls you. And I thought that, for me as a driver, is way more important than braking a bit later because I can do that straight away. Data came along and all this, sorry, long story, but data came along and I could see that the driver coach's role was kind of getting elbowed out a little bit and you're going to become a bit obsolete at some point. But anyway, I got into mental performance for my own thing. And then I got a kick out of teaching other people it in life coaching and as drivers. And it's just grown from there really as a fascination for me wanting to find out how the brain works, why this person can do something and this one can't. And that journey is just where I'm at now. And it's because I'm from motorsport, I've only really worked mainly in motorsport, 90%. I've had people outside, but that's in a nutshell, that's what I do, is try and find out, if you want to really slim it down, it's like this person's got a certain goal, we've got to create a brain that can achieve that goal and give them training to do that.
I'm excited
Basically.
for the audience to know what the mind is like inside of a racing driver truly, because you mentioned the example there, braking later. You look at the data, it think, a driver needs to brake as late as possible, obviously, but well, not always. Now, it seems obvious in the data that you need to do that, but you just touched on it there. It could be just simply your mindset.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you do when you have a driver that doesn't have the right mindset?
Do you know what the biggest problem is now? It's braking too late, especially in these cars where the modern cars, I'd say F2, you can still slam the brake as hard as you can, late as you can. You get reward for it. F3 a little bit. The ones before that, you're on eggshells. You don't want to hit the brake too hard because you lock up too easy. So now it's becoming brake correct rather than brake the latest. So we're having to elongate the corners now because the mental side of it is the driver has got, let's just say they're a bit of a drug addict, kind of. They want to go faster. That's all they're thinking, right? They've got a corner coming up and they're like, right, the first thing I've got to do is brake. So their head goes, I've just got to brake as deep as I can. They haven't got the patience to say, right, actually, in 3 seconds' time, the exit's actually more important. So logic brain goes out the window. I just want to get fast. I want to have the good result. And this is what I'm seeing more and more as now. They're just impatient for... Their logical brain knows, look after the exit because there's 600 meters after that. But still, they're thinking, I want to be a champion in the 100 meters before, and then they mess it up. So I'd say it's more of a mental game than anything. They come in, they see the data, they've seen it for years. I've got to brake like this, I've got to brake later. They go there to the corner, first time, brake too late. So it's like, hang on, we've still got the wrong goal on approach. So then it is properly mental and just seeing it like now it's if the corner is, name a corner that you'd say is good for
braking.
Yeah. One that would be
Monza, turn 1.
Oof, that's huge.
That's a big one.
So if you think about it, it's a long braking zone there, right? Especially in the Porsche. You try and go a bit later. What happens there?
Well, you just go deep. You screw up. You'll be your delta will go green. You'll go quicker, a lot quicker in the first section. You'll be a lot slower out of the next. So it's like a chicane, isn't it? You got the right and then the left, which goes onto a really long curve straight again. And you'll just see, that was my problem as well in testing and at the race weekend was I'm like, oh yeah, but look, I'm gaining time on the way in. And then I was losing at the same time plus half a tenth on the way out.
That's nothing to do with skill. It's all mental. You've got like half an hour, it seems like, down that start finish straight to think about it as well. And there's bloody signs saying, right, 200, right, I know where to brake. But then something goes just a bit more. That's the drug addict bit, right? Instead of going, you know what, I'm quite happy to lose half a tenth or a tenth on the way in. As long as I can get that apex late, I know I'm going to be loving it up there. That calms you down then when you think like that. And you sort of start to drive a bit more. So that's the bit of an insight of the mental side of a driver. If they've got objectives, that they want to have starting a lap, you've got to make sure that objective is correct. Not driving faster, it's I want to get nailed around turn 1 apex. I want to get really tight. And if they're only thinking that, they'll do it. So that's just a slight, it shows you the operating system or what goal you're giving it down the straight is determining how they drive that corner. Because honestly, you show them on data for years and they're still making the same error.
Yeah.
That's what made me think there's more to this. It's not a knowledge problem. They could be great coaches. They could teach themselves what to do. But as soon as I sat there, it all changes and logic goes out the window.
Well, I think that's what separates ultimately. I think we said this on the last podcast. What separates the good from the great, or the average driver? I think a lot of drivers could be very quick, or can be on their day very quick.
Yeah.
But it's the Maxes and Lewis maybe, or your Nick Tandys or whatever in GT racing that just seem to always perform no matter what. And that all for me comes down to drive, all from your head mentally. But how can you teach someone that doesn't have it naturally? What does mental training look like? I know it's different per person.
Okay. So there's a lot to that. I break it down now to mental fitness. That's all I call it. So it's not psychology. It's literally training the brain. It's brain building. So like I said to you, we've got a goal. What's the skills I need to achieve that goal? And then putting a training place for them specific skills. It could be confidence, it could be concentration, whatever it is for the person. They've got all these mental muscles we can work on. And we list them out saying, where are we at the minute in these areas? And how can we have training? 1 rep, 2 reps actually, 1 mental rep per day to work on that specific muscle. Say it is confidence. That could be visualization, thinking and seeing yourself get into that car nice and confident. That is a mental technique. And then an action rep, which is where you put that muscle, that mental muscle, into the real world and you test it. So I'm going to go and talk to that person that I wouldn't talk to. So now you're working out confidence, right? So they've got a mental and an action rep to train that particular muscle. And that's how it's really taken from the physical world. It's like, hang on a minute. Mental training is like physical world training was in the 70s when you got the meatheads doing it. The gyms felt really, they were iron. You went there and you felt really intimidated. You go to a gym now, it's completely different, right? It's mainstream. People are accepting it. If you worked out back in the 70s, you were a bit weird, actually. If you're going for a jog and stuff, it's just the way we saw it. I see the mental journey at that point right now, where we know about it. We don't want to talk about it too much because it's psychology, it's therapy, it's going too deep. So I'm like, well, why don't we just copy the physical training world, and put a training program in place for people that want to get fit, be fit for purpose, become who they need to become. That's the kind of like slogans. And you have a plan in place to make you do that every single day. And before you know it, you're there. And that's how we do it how we learn in the first place. So if you've got lack of confidence, that would have been backed up with these reps every day. Why I'm not good enough, that thing that happened to me at school, you'll be replaying that, and that's your reps for the day. So we change them put these more productive and proving to the mind that this isn't true anymore every day, and you become that person.
Well,
so that's really what you do when you're mentally training someone.
Yeah, because my question was on all the F1 drivers and the great drivers in the world. People think, people put F1 drivers on this real pedestal, like these guys are supernatural. They're people, obviously. They're incredibly talented people.
Yep.
But could you, after all your years in coaching drivers, what makes up a good driver or something that you've seen on a regular basis that shapes a good racing driver? I'm talking about like dealing with those failures. Are they training mentally? Like, what is that? What are the secret ingredients behind that?
There's so many, isn't there, if you think about it? Because they're all different. Yeah, like a Hakkinen is completely different to a Schumacher and a Senna and Max. But if you look at what they all have, is they're just deep into the craft. They're not thinking about results.
Fully agree.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, if you talk to Raikkonen, he'll come in, I think I said this in the last podcast, he'll come in and say, I need this done to the car. And the engineer's like, not sure. No, do it. They did it and it worked. And you're like, well, that guy doesn't look like he's intelligent, but he's really in. He knows the car. If you look at Jos Verstappen, that's brought up Max, that produced him, you can see why Max is so switched on. He can chuck him into anything and he'll work it out. He's not thinking, what if I'm not fast? What's so-and-so going to think? This is my first time in this car. So I'm like, he doesn't even go there. It's more, I'm just doing what's in front of me. And they've done that over years, and then they get the better result, and then that's their way.
I remember you dissecting, so we should mention as well that the last podcast had a big emphasis on Liam Lawson and Ollie Bearman because you were their sort of performance mind coach throughout their junior career. I know you're no longer with Liam because you're with Ollie as well.
Yeah, it's a bit too
You can't be with
close.
two drivers in two different teams.
Yeah.
That's one thing with people like Max as well that I saw in doing like the Nürburgring thing in the GT3 car. One thing I thought I would be thinking as a Formula One driver, not just a Formula One driver, but the Formula One driver at the moment, or potentially of all time.
What if I don't perform?
Yeah, that's what would be going through my head, to be honest.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the F1 grid's head. But how do you extract? Like, how does Max extract so much out of every car he seems to get in, regardless of this name and pressure that he's got on him?
It's years of conditioning, I think, obviously. Some people pick it up quicker or not, but same with an entrepreneur. You can a really good one, you can throw them into a company and they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm afraid there is skill involved that is hard to train, and it's like a salesperson. If they lose their way mid-flow and someone's throwing objections at them, it's the one that can come up with good counter-attack, should we say, or answers to what they're saying. It's people that can figure stuff out. They're the people that get ahead, but there's not many of them, especially in the new world where we're kind of like giving the kids all the best car, this, that. They don't even have to give their feedback until they get to F1.
So much data.
Understeer.
Well,
Okay, that's about it. But if you're taught, because I remember watching Max and his dad at the track in PF when they were just before he went to cars, they were so deep into everything. It was unreal. It's kind of like if the axle bent, they want to know why, how, what's it even made of? And I saw it again when I was in F3 with them. I was with a teammate. They just went deep. And I saw the dad walk past the car and he'll just spin the wheel to make sure it's okay and then go to the next one. And he was all over that car. They pretty much ran that car themselves. They just used the VAR tent kind of thing. Not taking anything away from VAR, but they were all over it. And you can and you'd get a call from him, the engineer said. It was the last job that the engineer did, because I think they pushed him a bit too far that year. 3 in the morning, Sunday morning. Oh, got an idea, do this. And it's kind of like, you're absolutely obsessed. Look at people like Mr. Beast or anything. You just say, oh,
So
God,
true.
they're really good. You just spend a day in their life and you see how they go deep into it. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, same.
Yeah.
So they just go really into, well, they're masters.
So what you're saying is there's less questioning of, oh, can I do it? There's more focus on how can I do this? That's the balance, isn't it? It's
You
like
do that over
figuring it out.
time. do that over time, get the results. Your brain's going, oh, this is the way to do it then, rather than I'm only as good as my results.
Because we did a talk with John Pratt finally
saw
after
it,
you, and I got slated a bit because I asked the question, does talent exist and things like that. But I do back up the point that most of your talent is through obsession. It has to be, because you just talked about Max and Jos at the kart track. They're looking at everything, every tiny Mr. Beast. You can't just say Mr. Beast is talented. No, he's obsessed.
For years.
Yeah, and how then how do you beat that? Yes, that's the question.
That's right. And honestly, I've got, I don't know, 20 drivers on the books at the minute that I work with, and a lot of them are just worried about not being enough. It comes back to that, and that's in the car as well. So you have to teach them this alter ego, really, right? When we're in the car with this person, when you're sat there at home talking about this stuff, okay, fine, you can be that because everyone's got insecurities. That's cool. But we need to make sure that when you're in the car, you're just thinking of the right thing at the right time. That's all it really is. Because to get a bit deep, the brain can only think about one thing at a time, literally. Multitasking is impossible unless it's in muscle memory. When it's a conscious thing, it's only one at a time, and you can only hold 4 instructions at once, a bit like a CD player, an old cartridge where you got 4 CDs, and it can only select one thing at a time. So if you're thinking, what are other people thinking and stuff, you're like, hang on a minute, where's your conscious mind on the driving? It's not. It's leaving it, and then it'll all of a sudden switch back to driving. What's going on? Shit. Then you'll do something, and then it'll go back to, how did that look? I just messed the corner up. It's an absolute mess. So you just have to bring them down to like, right, where are we shining the torch on a lap? I want you to get really focused on the boring stuff. So even that's a rep in the day. What can I do today that's more about the craft and not the result? And you put them on that path, and again, that helps. Makes them more fascinated then with the art of it. It takes time, man. Because then you've got the parents saying, oh, you're not doing good enough and all this. So it just keeps spiking it and bringing it back again.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. And the big one is obviously being over or praising yourself too much when you do get a win. And everybody going mad. Like, I see it like a sound wave. The more you go up for celebrating something, I know, or everyone knows, the more you're going to go down. That this wave goes down when you don't. So you feel really bad. If you're the kind of guy or gal that's like flatline, I won. Thanks everyone. Brilliant. Next. If you're just that, you're unbeatable because you're just bringing the mind back to, I don't really care about the result. You do. You smile and you cheer a little bit with everyone, but I think if you could be more plateau, you have less troughs, and you just see it as it's a result. It's not about me. I just bloody turned the wheel, pressed the pedals. It's really unromantic. Problem is, it's not very Hollywood, right? It's not very romantic.
What's your advice to, because there's lots of drivers, sort of myself included, that would love their only problem or thing to be focusing on to be just racing.
Yeah.
But like the podcast or like sponsorship, there's all this other stuff I'm doing that I actually see as part of my job as a racing driver, at least in the, very privileged position I'm in, but not position I'm in where someone else, that it doesn't matter how I sort of manage that relationship, is funding my racing. I've got to go out and find it and treat it like a business. Use that as an example. And many other drivers out there that are fighting for funding, or even business people that have to work a full-time job as well as work on their business in the meantime. How do you become a master of a certain craft with all this other stuff going on?
It's hard, right? So say if you weren't doing that stuff, what would you be doing for the racing? Because you can't go on track anymore, can you? So you can't actually practice the craft. What would you be doing anyway to make your skill better?
That's a good question.
I think one thing that I'm definitely susceptible to is it's not like I'd fill up my day with a bunch of sort of mindfulness and sim and whatever, because I actually believe you can do too much, and it's just good to have an intensity in the training I do. So an hour a day on the sim, mindfulness every day, gym every day, that's kind of like sorted. But I find myself, and this year I really want to make sure, because we have got the funding and we have signed for Germany and Super Cup.
Good lad.
That, my focus during the season, at least on race weekends, is very organised and very focused on, I don't want anything else in my head apart from getting the maximum performance out of myself on those weekends, because I know even when I was at school, I was like that in the sense of like, if I had to think about, I use this as an excuse all the time with homework and stuff. It's like if I had to think about doing X, Y, and Z for exams, that would take away my, not performance, but my psychological like capacity to think about racing and to, I don't know whether there's something in that or whether you can sort of help me out there, but it's like, if you're thinking about too many different things, even if that doesn't mean it's taking away from training, like time-wise, but mentally it's taking away. How do you manage that?
It's having sprint blocks, isn't it? It's a very difficult thing to say that it's not dragging mental baggage from what you've just done. That's the kind of, we did speak about multitasking quickly there. It's more like how good are you at switching, and whatever you're on, you're really into it. That could be trained. That's something that I know it's going off a little bit what you said, but it's on my mind at the minute is with an F1 driver. If you see their schedule, I could show you on my Google Calendar of Ollie's schedule on a race weekend. I see him for probably 20 minutes a day, and I'm there all day, apart from the nighttime, in the day. And it was getting to the point where he was getting into the car. So he comes out the car for FP1, goes to 2 or 3 hours of debrief pretty much, eating while he's there at the computer still, straight back into the car. And it was not working out. It can easily, because you go from office to, and they're not talking about the driving either. They don't really show you what to do better. They're talking about the car and things, and you listen to everyone else's ideas. You can see a bit of on board, but you've got to wait. And then he's straight in again, and nothing's really resolved. And if he has a bad session, it keeps going into the next one. So it's like, right, we've got to make sure that he's really reset, not just doing the stretchy band before he goes in. And it was like, let's declutter all the stuff that you just had in the last 4 hours, really, because of the on-track stuff as well. What's the one thing we've got to do now going in? Let's have a laugh. Let's smile just for 5 minutes. Let's take some deep breaths. If he's stressed, whatever, it's like, how do we win this next game? So I make it really fun. How do we win this next game? The next game is we're going to do this to the car. We're going to check ride heights. Okay, so the game is to give really good feedback. Like, oh, yeah, that's good. So I'll do that. And just go out with that. And this is F1 standard. It's so basic, but it is. Immediately, you saw, when we actually did that, you saw his performance grow halfway through the season last year. And that was the only difference, really. Plus, he was, like, determined to do it as well. But it's just getting that brain, like you said, to think about the one thing I'm doing rather than someone said to me something in the debrief, it peed me off a little bit or whatever. You get rid of all of that out there like a robot, do this, park it, come in.
Task focus, basically. Yeah.
Honestly, it is literally where you shine that torch is where you think. So you've got to make sure that whatever you're in, bit of a game. I'm now going to do this thing, whatever it is. I'm going to see if I can be fully in. And then you get a kick out of it. Like, yeah, I did it. Right, what's next? And you actually get better energy then as well.
Quick pause. Jordan, would you like to go to the Formula One?
Yes, Gus.
Do you know what tickets to buy?
Not really.
Do you know what hotel to stay in?
No.
Do you know how to get to and from the track?
No.
And do you know what grandstand to book?
A good one?
Well, now you have
Formula Escapes.
One of the biggest problems or hurdles with Formula One weekends, even for me, is knowing where to watch from, what the best grandstand is, what the best hospitality is, where you're going to be positioned on the track, how you get to the track, how you get back to your hotel, where you should stay. Formula Escapes have you covered on all of those bases. Whether it's a city break or a full VIP experience or a corporate event, Formula Escapes can facilitate it on any given Formula One weekend. If you're looking at going to the Formula One, whether it's your first time or whether you've been a million times, but you've never done a package experience like this, please do give it a go. It will save you so much aggro, so much stress, and just allow you to enjoy your race weekend. Also, if you inquire, let them know you came from Backseat Drivers because there might be a cheeky little discount for you there. And also, if you book on one of my race weekends, I'm racing Porsche Super Cup on the Formula One weekends in Europe, you can have the chance to win a cheeky little paddock tour with yours truly, Gustav Burton. Thank you to Formula Escapes for sponsoring this video. It's formulaescapes.com. All the info's in the description. Back to the podcast. Well, one of my questions to you was going to be, obviously, Ollie Bearman, you've been with him for years now as his mind coach. But last year, me and Jordan were talking in the coffee shop just before you came on, that Jordan was like, oh, he's been exceptional last year. And I was like, don't get me wrong, he was exceptional last year. But there was a point around kind of Mexico, or maybe slightly before, slightly after, where his end to the season was like world championship-esque. Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what I
know.
mean? Like
Yep.
you then look at him and go, wow, okay, he's really got something special about him.
Yep.
Was it just that changed, just simplifying?
It was also us understanding that this isn't going to plan. We've got to do so. So obviously it's his own realization, like, oh yeah, I can see I made these mistakes, these errors and things, like all drivers do, because he's a different kind of breed. That one, he's kind of insanely fast, but you've got to direct that animal. And if you give him something to think about, he murders everyone, I promise you. But if you just let it go and then it's a bit loose in the way he goes out, he's susceptible to mistakes. And I think he's overcome that now. But it was kind of like mistake after mistake and obvious ones, and he'd be kicking himself. He'd just try and go too deep. So you have to, when you've got someone who is a bit of a heat seeker like that, you have to give them some coordinates to go for. Otherwise it gets messy. So he is quite different, but he's that was all it was. Honestly.
Really?
So it's always there. It's just annoying. He's just done another flaw or whatever.
And how do you stop the... Because in Formula One, I mean, just sort of coming back to Ollie, I was just saying before that F2 and kind of similar to Super Cups, not on the same level, but we're on the same weekends. Yeah, it's cool, but then you get to F1 and all of a sudden everyone knows who you are and you're a celebrity and there's all this pressure. That combined with maybe noticing that it's not going quite to how you'd planned or how Ollie had planned throughout the start to sort of mid of the season. How do you stop and catch this inevitable mental downward spiral of like, oh shit, maybe I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. How do you catch that?
Obviously, you talk about any insecurities that are there and what they're worried about. Deal with that. But it's just, I think once someone understands and they can see it in a detached way of how this is playing out with this driver over there, even though it's me, they kind of coach themselves then. It's like, right, he's in this situation, the trajectory is going down here, you can see where it's going to end up. Or if we change, it's going to end up there. So you paint them two pictures, right? Whether that's verbal or literally they write it out, this is how it's going to end up. I don't realize it, but I'm actually on that now. Shit. That's motivation. So you give them the motivation, I want to turn this around. Get them to that point, and it's like, right, this is the plan. We're going to do this, this, and this, put this in place, and let's see how it goes for the first weekend. If it then goes well, you're off to the races. If it doesn't, and they relapse, you have to work on something else, obviously. But I think as long as you feel like there's progress, and you feel like you're ahead of the game. It hasn't gone that way yet, but it's going that way, and this is my last chance to do it. You're usually inspired to work on it and change, and then once you do, it's easy. I promise you. And you think about how much pressure is had over the years as well. They're used to that sort of environment as well.
But how do you... There must be lots of thought that goes in on your end as to how best to go about telling someone that they're basically underperforming.
Yeah.
And, you know, how do you go about that? Because it could go either way. And I know as a coach, I've done it wrong before or read people wrong. Some people can deal with, this was shit, change it. And some people need a much nicer roundabout, you know, way of explaining.
I only go for the former. This is shit and we got to change it, and then rub their face in it. I think it's my style to do that, but it's also the most powerful because it shocks them. And before you can actually change anything with the brain, it's got to be shocked and motivated to do something. Yeah. I've done it in the past as well, where you kind of, when you're working for a driver, they're paying your rent. You don't want to tell them the truth sometimes when you're a young coach. So you just, it's okay, we'll do this. But if you're really honest with them, you're like, man, this is so bad. Yeah. Come on. And you'd be a lot more aggressive. And I've just got more aggressive, I think. Or just not aggressive, just honest of this is what it is. And they usually take, I don't know if it's delivery, but they take it. And if they don't, they don't. And I think it's being really prepared to stop working. And that's something I've said to pretty much all the drivers at one point when they've peed me off is, I'm not in this anymore. I don't really feel it. You're not giving me anything as a coach. And they kind of, oh shit, I've just upset him. You know, and that hurts as well. Because then they reflect and like, oh, I didn't realize I was that bad. Yeah, and some just never get it. So you can't do much with them. But when you've got someone who's really good, it's motivating them, seeing the truth, seeing things for how it really is. And eventually they come round if they don't immediately.
So you have a great driver, and we've seen great drivers have a plateau. they're not seeing any progress really for a year or two. And there's definitely drivers, people will know that have had that, and you've seen it.
Yeah,
So
see it all the time.
What happens then? Like if you're trying all these things and it's not working, then what?
That's the
Keep
ultimate.
trying.
That's the ultimate. It's like trying to take someone to MBA or something, and they're just not getting it after years. Gets to a point, doesn't it, where I think we're ceilinged out.
But you could have someone at a world-class level, because at Formula One, they're all fucking good.
Yeah.
Right, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, it could be someone who's just like not quite there to their teammate, and they're seen as not a good driver, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it. Like drivers can end up really plateauing. I've seen champions do it. Multiple race winners do it.
Have you got one in mind?
I'm going to say Daniel Ricciardo. What happened to him? I was a bit confused how he couldn't regain that performance again.
It's hard as well from the outside when you're not in it to know what was going on. There was obviously a lot more weight there, wasn't there, than before. And you see it with Hamilton as well. Hamilton's a bit different because he's much older now, so and you've won. I think when you're 18 and you're just new to the sport, no expectations, let's just go. Then when you're in your 40s and you've won 7 or 8 times, you're kind of thinking differently. And I think Michael Jordan that said Michael Jordan that said every win takes a little bit out of yourself.
Oh, okay.
Every time you win the championship, you just lose a little bit. So who knows? But you have to be with them really to know what's going on, because it could be something in their personal life. They just don't love it anymore. There's drivers on the grid that honestly they don't enjoy it, and then they leave and they decide, oh, there's actually nothing else to do. So they come back again. So I think the desire goes, the fight.
There's talk about obsession, and that tends to be, the best people you see in any sport. You see it in Max. That its only obsession is driving cars as quickly as possible. Performance, performance, performance. There was something, I was at iZone yesterday, and I can't remember the tennis player's name for the life of me. I think he was Italian.
Yeah.
Around the 90s. It was dominating everything. I remember the name. Jed can put it on the screen once I remember it after the podcast. But he wrote an autobiography, and we had a talk from Sid, the psychologist at iZone, saying he basically came out after his career of winning, I think it was four or five Grand Slams, and he was like the boy in the 90s. To then say in his autobiography, basically, I secretly hate tennis and I've never wanted to do this, and I've been forced to do it basically by my dad.
Agassi.
That's it.
Yeah.
Agassi.
American.
So how the hell? I was thinking, because sometimes, you wonder in other drivers whether they love it enough, and John brings that up at iZone as well. You've got to be all for this sport if you're to be a racing driver, because to perform at the top level, you've got to sacrifice everything, and you've got to be you've got to be prepared to give away your whole life to this sport. But then how the hell does that happen? I know he's an anomaly, but how can you hate something yet be so exceptional at it?
There would have been something there, like a desire to please my dad or something, right? And even he said, actually, as soon as I gave up on results and just on process, it kicked me back onto it. So I think, you know what? When you've worked at something for so long, but your heart's not completely in it, you can still be bloody good. But you saw how he dipped. He went from world number 1 down to, 100? And then back up again because of that desire.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm doing it for me now. And then, new motivation. But I'm really good at it. So you can be really good at it, honestly. It's just, if you think about motorsport, that's even more exaggerated, because you can pay your way to get virtually all the way. And then if you grease the wheels as well with the F1 team, you can get in again, right? And you can spend quite a few years there, but you don't really love it. You can't say it's the top 22 drivers of the world are there, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You'd be shocked, actually, at some of the levels.
Really?
Yeah, it's not always the best. It's just they're really good, of course. But if you're thinking about who's exceptional, I bet you can count them on one hand, right? Whoever you think it is, through opinions, there's not that many that are at the top.
How many?
You'd be shocked that they're just normal kids.
How do you quantify that, though?
You think no matter what I put that person in, they'll be near the front.
Yeah.
It's not like this person can drive understeer and he can drive oversteer.
It's a
and
character in a way.
they can set up the it's they've got it.
Yeah.
A question I've got around kind of Formula 2 and how ridiculously competitive. And I remember at the time we were talking, Ollie Bearman was doing F2. So we were talking, I think, 2024 or just before 2024.
Yeah.
Before Ollie got to F1 and before Liam got his full-time F1.
Was it before Saudi? Before the Saudi?
Yeah, so that's one thing I really want to hit with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I've lost where I was going again with that. So
F2?
I can't talk for too long.
F2, yeah.
F2, how many of the F2 boys, I think it's been proven to some of the teams clearly in the last, I'd say 2 years, 3 years, that people, it's like they remembered people from F2 can just hop in F1.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, they're performing. You saw it with like, Colapinto, Ollie, Antonelli. All of a sudden in 2025, Hadjar, all of a sudden in 2025, we had a load of new rookies on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
How many in F2 do you think, I know we haven't started that season yet, but at least last year, could compete for or are deserving of seats in Formula 1?
Because the driving style's so different, it's hard to say. I think what F2 allows you to do is figure out how to drive around problems and be consistent. So I think you can get to a good level there. But then F1 obviously asks more of you. It's kind of like, right, now I have to really think about getting these tyres in. And man, the current cars are even worse for doing more than one thing at once. I have to get the brakes in. I have to deal with the pressure, track positioning just to get one lap in. And if it's not right, what do I do with all my tools? And that's the sort of stuff you don't see in F2. So it's kind of like you don't find out if they can actually do it until they're there. There's not a lot of difference between drivers. This is the thing. We're talking about 4/10 probably, a complete guess, between someone who's average and really good. But it's the driver who can just keep doing it, keep problem solving. And the car's got a certain potential and he gets it there or she gets it there, right? That I don't think you see in F2 until you, like, Ollie was what, 14th, something like that in F2? Like, you're not going to F1. But if it wasn't for Saudi,
that was, so that was my next thing.
But you don't know, because it's like watching rental karting. There could be some really good ones in there, but you just don't know because the cars are different.
It's so hard even for me to follow. And we have a friend, Kush, in Formula 2 that, and I rate him so highly as a driver and as a person. But one weekend he's like qualifying on the front row. And and it's the same for almost everyone, even like Alex Dunn and stuff. One weekend they're winning, next weekend they're like 19th.
Yeah, it's so difficult. But it's a career killer.
You've got Antonelli and Bearman who were in the same team last year that, granted, a lot of it was due to the team situation, but didn't actually have the best year. Definitely had some standout performances, like at Baku. I remember that year with Ollie, or at least in his first year in F2. But Antonelli didn't particularly, maybe in Hungary, I remember. But you wouldn't have looked at them F2 only and gone, you're destined to be a world champion. So what is it? What's the important part for these drivers? Is it being with a Formula 1 team under a junior program, having Formula 1 testing? Like, at what point did Ollie get noticed? Did Antonelli get noticed by Mercedes and Ferrari to be like, right, you are special from a young age?
You know what? It's knowing when you see it. So you see a driver that's really good. If you've been in the industry, you too would see it as well. You just know, like, I can tell that guy or that gal is definitely going all the way. You just know from when they're a kid as well. Part of it comes from, like I said before, about figuring things out. But they just seem to, even a bad car, if it's raining, they'll get it up there, or they'll just have this one almighty race or two. So Ollie had a terrible season that year, but he still put it up the front now and then. And I think that gets around. Like, the engineer talks to people and says, like, this one is special. Don't look at the results. It's irrelevant. Look at what this guy's doing. And they try them in the F1 car and you see it again there and you're like, oh, okay, I can see it. Where I've had champions in F2, killed everyone, never gone near an F1 car. They've tested it, but they're like, wasn't that good. Simple as that. Just couldn't cut it. We've looked at you and we've seen you at a test and we're just not liking what we're seeing.
How cutthroat?
So they take it a pinch of salt as well.
How cutthroat are they on the tests? I.e., do they give you like a day and they're just like, no, you don't have it?
Depends on, like, Kimi would have had a lot of days, obviously, and they wanted that to work. But I think if you do a really bad job, then yeah, day one. They can see straight away. So there's been quite a few F2 champions that have not really had it. They've won probably F2 in their third year.
Yeah.
So they've learnt the car, learnt the tyre. But maybe there was just something there that wasn't. Oh, the timing's got to be there, remember. You've got to have current drivers in your F1 team that are leaving to make a hole for that driver. So there's all that as well.
It
So
is
it's not just
cutthroat
talent.
because it's like, it's the time in which you need to get up to speed to perform in F1.
It's immense.
It's to get points for the team. So even if someone is going to be a master one day, if it takes them 10 years and they're in F3, it's just not quick enough, is it?
Nope.
They need to win. They need to get prize, points for the team.
You saw with Liam, right? When
Yeah.
he was against. They brought in Max at Silverstone, right? You're gonna be doing. You haven't been in the car for 6 months. Don't care. Jump in. Max has come into Silverstone, and you're gonna have one set of tires. On you go. You got to beat Max. And luckily, I think he was within a 2/10, if I remember. It was on Netflix, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was within 2/10, and that got him the gig. But sometimes it literally is like that. And the thing is, you've been driving on hard tires, and then you got to jump in something that's with the engine mode and the weight difference of fuel and the tire difference. It's like 3 seconds faster. Now it's like, looks like it's 6 seconds faster, but 3 seconds faster, and you've got one lap. So it's like, okay, I've got to deal with that pressure, and I've got to just focus on what I've got. And they'll come off that lap thinking, oh, there was a bit more time there, of course, because there's more traction, you think. But that's how cutthroat it is. They ain't got time to test everyone. It's like, jump in, let's have a look. And they'll be like, nah, or the other way.
So you're saying the number one skill really, or one of the most important skills to make it as an F1 driver is adaptability.
Get in and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And performing under that immediate pressure
Yeah.
of just like, right, if I screw up this one lap, that's it. F1 career over.
That's where Ollie's really good. You just don't see the nerves.
It's interesting.
It is like his first test. I was looking at him thinking he must be bricking it right now.
Yeah.
But no, not at all. He's just, he is inside. He's stirring, obviously, but he's so determined to like drill this thing. And you're like, that energy as well, when you walk into the garage with that and you're bouncing, you're smiling, you can't wait to get into it. The whole team are lifted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's got that about him as well. So people just want to work with him.
That just comes to the task focus though, right? Not being like outcome, what if I screw it up, and what if it's just like, I'll get to drive a Formula 1 car and I'm going to maximise everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So it's your viewpoint. It's how you see it, right? It's literally the way, I think the biggest skill on the mindset side is how you translate external to internal. What you say that means. If you're really good at, a bit delusional really, about I've just been dumped by someone, perfect, I can now go and find someone who deserves me. I knew she wasn't right with me, for me and all that. Or it's the worst thing that's happened. What's it going to look like? Why with him? All this stuff. Completely different reaction. And that's that's just one example. But the way your mental matrix is pretty much what I call it. The way you set it up with the rules and how you see the world changes everything. Because you just put in emotional ties to everything around you. And if you take control of them, it makes you very strong. And also, like Ollie, it's just, I want to get out there. It's freaking amazing. Rather than, oh, what if I get this wrong? So the questions you ask yourself are really important because they take your head down a different route.
I suppose that really showed coming on to Saudi that year, 2024.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, because we did the podcast literally weeks.
Yeah.
Or we released our podcast.
Was it 24 or 25? My years
2024.
24.
Of course he was racing.
Yeah.
So see, my mind's all mungled now.
When we last did the podcast with Enzo, it was literally weeks away from when Ollie got this call up. He was doing a second year of F2 and we were discussing whether he might get to Formula 1. Liam had a couple of races in Formula 1. We were discussing that.
Yep.
And then weeks later, Sainz has appendicitis in Saudi. Mm-hmm. And was it Bearman? He just got pole. I remember it.
Yep.
So he just got pole in Formula 2. He'd done the whole like Friday thing. All of Friday in F1 was done. And then I'll let you explain what happens next because you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, then we're in breakfast, sat down making our goals for the day. And actually at the point the phone rang, it was Fred from Ferrari. And I think he saw it on Chris's phone. Chris is his manager. And then Chris just stood up, walked out, and started to take it. And then it was, I think we're on. And he's like, what do you mean? And then it was all just panic go. Like he just disappeared, and I was sat there with my cornflakes still. It was.
Was this breakfast
so
on
exciting?
Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was so
Nuts.
exciting, honestly. Like, we got to go, and everyone's just trying to keep up. What we're going to tell the team, current team and all this, like, because they had it a few times that year where we had to keep dropping it on them last second. But it was more then the ball was rolling, and you haven't got time to think, like, quick prep. The steering wheel, you've done it on the sim, but I've got to brush up on it. So he's in the car going through it all, thinking about it. Get there straight away. What suit should I wear? It's all just kind of fast, and all of a sudden he's in the car and doing the stuff. But I think I saw a bit of nerves before quali. It was like, oh shit, I'm in a Ferrari here. It's the first time.
Yeah.
But he did pretty well. I think it was 7th, was it?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then in the race, he's got into it. Then near the end, he was really on fire near the end of the race. It was good. So it was just, it all happened very quickly. But again, if he'd shit the bed a little bit and start to think, what if I mess this up? This is a Ferrari. This is my one chance. You can imagine how that would have made him just...
It was the confidence in the race, and
Yeah.
even from he only got FP3, right, because he missed Friday.
Yeah.
So that's even worse. Like, you imagine getting a last minute call up to F1, Thursday night. Well, so you've still not had the briefing or the sim time or whatever, but you've gone from driving the Formula 2 car and getting pole in it.
Massive difference as well,
Yeah,
F2 and F1.
huge difference.
Yeah.
Downforce there is nuts.
Yeah. And then he gets in. I remember practice. I remember watching it because he was in it, and just seeing him like brushing the walls, and then gets to quali. Does a really. I think he was P11 in quali. Just missed
Was
out.
it 11, was it?
I think
think-
the race,
Oh, just missed out.
Yes,
the race was
P3.
P7.
Yes,
wasn't
it was.
Yeah.
P7 in the right. Yeah,
But even in the race, like
of course.
the confidence, and on the radio, you can just tell he's having like the best time ever. And he was 18, or was he 17?
He was 18.
He was
yeah.
18 at the time.
Yeah, he's 20. Yeah, yeah.
But
May. It was before May, right?
I think that was the first sign, the first obvious sign to me at least, that and clearly to everyone else.
And
Ferrari.
Antonelli's crew, they were like, well, you're kind of neck and neck with him in F1. If he's F2, if he's just done that in F1, maybe you're more ready. So I think it helped the juniors, and that's what a lot of people said, because it sort of showed you that someone who's mid-pack in the championship does that. Oh, maybe we should look over there then. So I think it helped quite a few himself, but also quite a few people. Like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, open doors. We always say, if that didn't happen, don't know if we'd be in F1 now. Looking at our F2 record, it's really hard to say, because Haas needed convincing, right? At the end of the day, they can't just put anyone in just because you're a Ferrari driver. So I think it helped massively. He delivered, and he keeps doing it as well. He keeps doing the things that shock you all the time. Have I said to you before about the stopwatch moment when you have it with a driver? The good ones, they shock you. So back in the day, you used to have stopwatches, of course, before live timing. It used to be like you'd press it, and you think you press it wrong. Like, nah, I'll do it again next lap. Surely he isn't that fast. So it's kind of with him and with top drivers, you always get their moments constantly, and they just keep proving, like, wow, didn't expect that. Like when he qualified pole in Baku with a bent steering. We've talked about that last time. That was complete mindset. I'll give up on the lap, whatever. Let's just drive this thing as hard as I can. And I think if you can get yourself there, you're onto a good one, because then you're focusing on the right thing, right?
Yeah, I think what's also fascinating is his junior career. Is like people talk about drivers that are coming through karting, like this person's going to be in F1 or in F4. They're going to be didn't really hear about Ollie until when he just completely dominated F4. Like before that, he wasn't.
Nope.
And I just think it's quite encouraging to see someone turn that around so quick. Like, I think it's really good for people to understand, like, yeah, with the right amount of work, like, you can really demonstrate world-class performance.
And it was there. He just didn't do all the sexy WSK karting. He didn't do all that. Yeah. He did the European stuff. But 6 days straight into of testing in F4, German F4, straight into the championship, and he was front rowing it straight away. And that's hard. Usually they've got like 20 days under their belt now, but he was just there by day 2. You could see he was ridiculous in a car, so he had it from the go. It wasn't just learned.
But
It was there.
what was the preparation to go into a performance like that?
It was rushed because COVID came along as well. He kind of had these 6 days of testing. The first very few days, he was like on the pace straight away. And then COVID came and put the calendar back, helped him become 15 before the season. It wouldn't have otherwise. And like, should we just do F4 now instead of doing another season in karting? Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. And then he did it and was winning races. Straight up the front by race 1. So
It's just like,
you've got to have that, I think, as well, if you want to be at the world's top.
yeah.
You can't be a
Urgency.
slow burner.
Yeah.
You ain't got time and you ain't got the money.
How much of that,
true.
his amazing kind of ideal mentality, I know you obviously want to take credit for a lot of it, but
No,
is it?
it's easier with someone like that. Otherwise, I'd have 22 drivers in F1 if that was the case.
Yeah, true. But I was going to say, it takes a good baseline, but how much of his mentality is taught / being made aware of constantly by you over the years, or how much of that is just he's always just been like this, or is it a mixture of the two?
With someone like that, they've got all the right ingredients already. All you're doing is directing it now and then and making sure they're getting the most out of themselves. It's a lot of it is DNA, honestly. But you can go that way and have all the insecurities in the world as well. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is turning a wheel and pressing pedals.
Yeah.
So it's not that. It is a mental sport, of course. I'm not saying it isn't, but you can get all sorts of insecurities up there
I see.
in any industry, actually.
The reason I asked that is because I see, so obviously that's like a very ideal way to be like Ollie, and just like this task focus. But then I also see, whether it's, footballers, whatever, but the sport I know is motorsport. I see top drivers that, you can kind of see straight through them are seriously insecure about certain things, and that's why they perform.
Yep. Translating it.
Why is that?
Fear as well can be another thing. Like it's how you flip that reality and use it. I think Will Smith said, I was that scared and I got to a point of things. I was that scared of going on stage and all this. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm peed off with this. It's holding me back. I'm just going to attack everything as a bit of an experiment that I'm scared of. I'm just going to go out. This is like doing the reps again every day. What can I do today that makes me scared? Screw this. I've had enough. I'm going to do it. And then you're off to the races that way. So you can use it. You can use it everything as either power or your story for why you can't make it. I would say, because everyone just sees it their own way and translates it in their own way and does something about it. So fear can hold you back or it can drive you. And it's the same with nearly every other emotion.
Could you give us an idea on the media duties? You touched on it for Ollie. I think, was that last year or during testing recently?
Which
when
bit?
Engineering debrief, getting back in the car, must be maybe testing, but
Anyway,
anyway,
now it's all the time.
it's literally, it's all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
But on a race weekend, can you give a bit of an idea of how much time they have to spend in front of an interviewer?
Obviously, every time they get out of the car, they've got the pen that they go into, and they have to do the print media there and TV. So that takes like half an hour. They get most of the print media come to see them in the hospitality every weekend. They did it last test as well. So they're all around a table and they have to sit there and answer questions. Podcasts are the big thing. So they've probably
During
got
the weekend?
3 of them a day. Yeah.
What?
Really?
Yeah. You've got F1 duties. You've got paddock club. You might need to go and do something there, to do a speech there. If you look at I'd like to show you it actually on my phone. Purple sections of media on the Google calendar I've got. I can't actually see anything in between them. It's like one to another, to another, to another. And it could be anything from just a podcaster to you're going to go now drive the car around the track with Brundle for a feature. It is constant. If you're not if you're not in the car and in a debrief, you're going to be doing something. They don't breathe. They're not sat there in the room doing nothing ever.
Really? No.
Apart from warming up to go out again.
That's
It's
insane.
crammed.
Yeah.
Honestly, they don't get any moments. And it's just ridiculous when I see it. Oh, wow.
How do they refocus? Like we spoke
That's
about
the
this
bit
earlier.
the 5 minutes before. When you're in your room, getting changed, like he'll come back to the room, still in the sweaty kit he got out of FP1, and now we've got to start FP2. So now we'll get changed for FP2. But he's been in the sweaty kit since then because he hasn't had time and he's eating on the go. That's the 5 minutes we were missing, and drivers do. It's like, right, let's just reset, shut the door. We can put music on, we can sit and talk, we can have a laugh, whatever it is. Let's just get rid of everything and then refocus and go again. And that's enough to recalibrate everything and get it pointing the right way.
Did that aspect of things scare you? Maybe not with Saudi, because obviously there was going to be a big kind of media attention on Ollie then, but it wasn't like confirmed. He wasn't going to be an F1 driver yet, but we don't know. But it was quite clear after that weekend that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
But when he signed, I remember it was just before or during the Silverstone weekend, we sent you a congratulations message. Does it scare you when a driver, obviously there's the wow factor of, oh my God, one of my drivers has made it to a full-time F1 seat. Mm-hmm. But then is there an immediate, okay, I really need to be careful or manage them through? They go from not a nobody, but you know what I mean? They go from nothing to a major celebrity very quickly.
Yeah.
And everyone's demanding all their attention, etc. How do you manage that? What goes through your head when they first
Yeah,
go
it was a
into
worry.
F1?
But the two recent ones, obviously, Liam and Ollie, they both just handled it really well. It's really strange, actually, how I think when it's not as explosive as it looks, it's kind of, it gently gets there. As soon as you become a reserve driver, you go into the airports and you're constantly getting stopped. And I think, oh, this is quite cool. Didn't think you knew my name. And it ramps up, and it's certain circuits, it's mad. You can't move. Other circuits, no one cares who you are. So it's a bit weird. But I would say both of them handle it really well. I don't know if that's social media commenting throughout their childhood that's prepared them for all this. Who knows? More than someone who's completely from the sticks and doesn't know. But they all seem to take it in their stride. And I'm thinking of the Antonellis of the world and all that, Bortoletto. They're not. It doesn't go to their head at all. Don't know why. It's not a problem. So I thought it would be, but it's not.
Do you think maybe it's because there's so much pressure on them already to deliver that they don't almost have time to?
But everyone's so nice as well. The fans are really nice. It's not like they're all trying to, unless you do something to...
It's not like football.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
If you're to wipe out some of them, and they're from countries where they've got passionate fans, it can get a bit feisty, obviously, for a few weeks. I think it happened to Antonelli, right? Last year. But it rides out, and then you're okay again. So it can be that you just learn to... I think what you learn to do is become very PR spoken. So you've always got that front. And that's the bit that you do. So you lose their character a bit. But it hasn't gone to the heads of the people I've seen anyway.
On that, actually, I was going to ask you, Lando made a massive switch in performance last year.
Don't know, I'm not close enough, but I know what you're going to ask.
Yeah, there was something along the lines of like switching off social media, basically.
Oh, right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't know him. I know some people that do, but he seems like he wears his heart on his sleeve, maybe, where maybe take some, like I'm someone that's like that. I can take things to heart. So switching that off, all of a sudden now you can zone in on that because, I thought I wanted to ask you if that was the case. Do you think?
Well, if he did that, then it would have been one of many things he did, I reckon. You don't just do that and say, oh, that was amazing. It's a mindset shift of, right, now I'm going to, keeps bringing us back to focusing on task, right? Now I'm going to actually focus on what's important. But the thing was, is Piastri all of a sudden went the other way as well at the same time. So who knows? People in the know probably say, oh, yeah, but this actually happened to his car. It's really difficult. You can come up with so many conclusions when something like that happens. I think it was around Kota, was it? I remember speaking to someone in his camp, in Norris's camp, and he was like, oh, I don't know, he just can't seem to hook up at the minute. And then I think that day, he then all of a sudden went off on a winning streak, or he was back again. So even they were shocked. So it's really difficult.
It's tricky, yeah.
But it is a fine line, right?
It is.
You look at Lewis last year, at the end of last year, it's just a few tenths off his teammate. It's the difference between getting through to Q3 and being like P18. It's ridiculous. You don't have to miss much at all. Didn't quite get the temps in of the tyres. Made a slight error, whatever it was. Missed with the car a little bit. You're at the back. You won't see that this year so much, I don't think. But last year, you could be made to look very average, and you're not doing anything wrong. So, and then the snowball starts, right? Of, oh no, maybe I've lost it. Oh, there you go.
And the media
Now
as
we're
well.
off.
The media
Yeah.
are relentless.
They are.
Brutal.
They love it.
Yeah. There's a story, right?
Yeah.
They have to make stories. So how does the driver deal with that nonsense as well?
That's the bit it's dealing with comments in the same way, right? That people have. There's lots of elements to dealing with feedback. I break it down to understanding kind of why people do criticize, because we all do it, right? We've all said bad things about certain people without even walking in their footsteps at all. So it's human nature. So I think it's letting them understand that they're just seeing it, they're saying something really quick, and then they're getting on with their life, but you hang on to that. So you kind of got to get to someone to see that it's pointless worrying about all that stuff, because people don't really mean it. If you get them in a room and sit with them like this, they'll be like, oh no, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry. And you've probably seen it in the past where haters get approached by the people they're hating on, and they're completely, oh no, I was just saying it behind the keyboard, sorry. So you can't, how can you give that weight? So you have that conversation with drivers a lot about how much weight they're giving it, and people don't mean it. And if they do, some of them are paid to actually start this stuff up. There's agencies as such to get it all stirring about certain people. So if you constantly look at that for validation, I don't think it's going to end up well.
No.
It comes back to that celebrating when you're good, and that means you're not going to be very good when you're not good, or not, something's not go well. It's all related.
That kind of ties well into. I know you weren't officially working with Liam last year, but
Yeah.
Liam it was last year, wasn't it? Where
Yeah.
he started with Red Bull
Yeah.
against Max. Also at what, 2 or 3, was it after 3 weekends? Got dropped?
Yeah.
Three weekends also, of which he's never driven in Formula One car before or at all. How the hell did you speak to him after that period of time when he got dropped by Red Bull, or even, during that period, which I'm sure must have been really difficult for him?
Yeah, it was hard. It
Yeah.
was difficult. Obviously, I can't say too much about it, but it's like he wanted more time to get his head around it. But the car was very difficult as well. It has been for a long time, right? If you're in Max's car, it's when you're trying to put, again, if you're missing 2 or 3 tenths, you're at the back and you look like you're completely off. But once you get on that spiral of, I spoke to Yuki actually in Japan, because that was his first race with him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's it like on the Saturday morning? And he was like, because he had a really good start to it, I think. It was like, actually, it's not too bad. But then he tried to calm the car down a little bit and went slower, because he said, it's trying to kill me at the minute.
Yeah.
So I try and get just a little bit calmer, and that's it, I'm off the pace. And then you go back, obviously, you ain't got time, but you go back to his setup and you make a slight error, then your confidence goes, and then that snowball starts, and you got all the pressure. Oh, you're not very good, are you? So it's you have to be quite strong, I think, to be in that car. I don't know what it's going to be like now, if it's going to get that way eventually.
I was thinking because a lot of people say the car is built for Max. And it's like, well, naturally, yes. Like when you're giving feedback to an engineering department and they're working out how can we develop this wing to find performance, of course, the lead driver, they're going to build the car in relation to that feedback. I think with the 26 cars now, it should level out a bit more, hopefully. I don't know, because
It'll gently go that way, probably.
Yeah, basically. But yeah,
we had that before.
What do you think of the 26 cars at the moment? Because
So hard
different.
to drive.
Really,
Yeah, did you see any of the footage?
Yeah.
well, they were
Just
locking up.
locking up everywhere.
Yeah,
And
the lockups on day one were crazy.
yeah, it went all the way through. Even last week is the same. It was it is mad. It's kind of, now you're really patting your head and rubbing your belly in the car. You sit here on the radio on the warm-up lap. Before, it's really hard to get the tyres and get the brakes in, right? Everything's good. Oh no, it's not. They're not ready for turn one. Brilliant. Now it's like, right, we've got to harvest the power at the right time. You're going to be going through corners a gear lower, because that charges the battery more. So even though it's a third gear corner, I'm actually going to take it in second. It's a flat out corner coming. I'm in qualifying, but I'm going to lift.
Oh,
Because otherwise I'm
no.
not going to have power for the straight. So it's all this stuff now. But we've got to learn, where do you lift, where do you lift and coast, oh, now the tyres have gone off a little bit. I'm making it sound crazy because it is the way it all is. So I'm starting to get tiny micro wheel spin. That's actually using the energy I needed over there. So my driving's got to be consistent now. So it's very different. They've got to basically conserve energy in the battery and build it up, make sure it's there when they need it constantly, more than pushing for an absolute outright fast lap. So I don't know what's going to happen.
That really scares me. Everything you've just said, like I don't care how shit or good the cars are, but when it's like quali lap, if the drivers aren't pushing to the absolute limit of, you know, how to drive a car fast, and they've got to think about, you know, oh, I'm going to lift through Eau Rouge because that might get... Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Eau Rouge is going to be mad.
Yeah.
It's a long straight. You're going to run out of gas, aren't you? As in
well, they're going to be shifting down up the hill.
Who knows? Because that's got to go up a hill as well, and then the hill after that. So I don't know. It's going to be... The cars are going to be programmed different for each track. The car's got to be intelligent enough to know your driving style, so then it adjusts, a bit like WEC used to in the hybrid days, LMP1. So you have to drive consistently for like 3 laps, and it's like, okay, I know what your throttle style's like now and stuff. So it's intelligent, but also it's hard to drive because it's got so much power. I said to Ollie, actually, I should have brought it with me. We've got it on my notepad. Just explain to me this car. This was day 3. I still had no idea what because there's so much speak now. I don't know all the terminology. I'm lost.
Yeah.
Stick to the mental, mate. But there's like this power curve coming off. I can't remember if it's power curve or throttle. Anyway, the first 30% is like, it's still harvesting at that point so you got good traction. It's like 30% battery. I mean, 30% engine or something. Then it clicks in to more ice, it's called, the engine, and then it goes to like proper power as you're at the top end of the acceleration phase. So you've got 3 clicks of power as well, and you'll see them snapping. If anything's combined, like turn 11 of Bahrain, you know, kind of like it's... Have you driven Bahrain?
Yeah.
No, I know it.
Got the awkward 10, which
Yeah.
everyone locks up at.
Next
Then
left.
you've got like a 3rd, 4th gear, I don't know what it is, left hand that goes up the hill. Corners like that where you're powering, all of a sudden it kicks in and you'll see them snap.
Yeah.
Last corner of Bahrain as well. So it's really difficult because that when it comes in battery and engine, we're off. So in the wet, I don't know what's going to happen in the wet.
The racing
The wet,
scares me
yeah.
as well. Oh, the wet as well, yeah.
Wet at Monaco, they'll...
Oh,
But obviously
It's going to be a disaster.
I think F1 though.
there's throttle maps, engine maps. So we've got some of it sorted, but still they're going to have to be really... And then only the front wing opens in the wet, not the rear wing. So there's all these things that we've got to sort out. But you know what? It's all of a sudden motorsport again now, not driver sport, for a little bit, where people say, oh, remember the back in the day when it was innovation and
True.
Lotus and all that? We've got that, and everyone's like, oh, I don't want that. We want a sport where it's driver against driver, of course, and it will get there. It's just obviously it's a development race at the minute. So I think let's just embrace it. Let's just try and get a head around this car, because it will make sense. If you think you're the rule makers, FIA or whoever it is that gets the final say on the regs, they've got to meet the standards of global warming in each country so they don't get banned by certain countries for, you know, just having engines that are not... Okay, fine, we've got to play the political game. Got to keep the manufacturers involved. If we just have IndyCar, same engines and stuff, they'll be off.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
So, okay, we've got to do the technology. So I reckon it's a really hard... And then we've got the sporting side, because obviously we've got to make sure everyone's watching it. It must be quite difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I
When you say it like that.
There must be a
absolutely.
reason.
I think
Yeah.
every rule change, though, like stuff happens from testing and all the drivers are moaning about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get pretty much to the first quarter of the season and most teams have worked it out I'm sure they'll all work their way around the kind of lifting during a qualifying
Exactly.
lap problem somehow.
We're literally on day 7, right?
Yeah, true.
It's the start of a new era, and at the minute, actually, we were quite surprised how good we were. Haas, we're definitely P5.
Can you read much into the testing
No.
times?
That's the thing.
Is it all a load of
But
bollocks at times?
like the teams that are sort of like mid to back
Yeah.
of the pack, I think we're all pretty much going for it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the top teams, you're not sure, because you're like, okay, do Mercedes want to show themselves yet? Because surely they're ahead.
Do you have any
Had
clue?
the car for ages.
Mercedes.
I presume so. But then Ferrari
why?
just come along and
Upside
stick
down
8
wing.
tenths on everyone. Right? But Hamilton was quickest last year at that test, so you got to be careful, right? So it is. I just think that the Mercedes should be better because they've worked on that engine for so long. We've probably had the car for 2 months and we've been working on it. They've had it a good year in terms of...
And they did the same for their last string of serious success from 2014, 2013 to 2018, 19?
And they're very keen on
great,
this direction as well. So it's kind of like they're ahead of it. And so we'll see. There's a vote soon, I believe, on
their engine, what they figured out. I don't know.
On the testing procedure. It was 10 days when we were in Bahrain, so it must be like in 3 days' time. So maybe they didn't want to show themselves just yet before the vote.
Okay. Because I saw a clip of Lewis getting this almighty start. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did starts at the end of every session.
Because there was a big
Ferraris
concern
were
about the
amazing.
Starts. Yeah, but they're having to rev the engines to spin the turbos, is that right?
To charge the
5 seconds are all set up.
It's nuts. The clutches must be dying.
I don't know if they're on the clutch or anything. I don't know the procedure, but still, it's quite funky. So the guy who's at the back, obviously, he rocks up, and the guy with the flow.
Are they gonna have to delay the lights?
Yeah, they
surely?
are. They are. They're giving like a 5 second to the 5 second kind of thing. So it will be, and I think some people want even more than that. It's all very different.
Yeah, I think
we'll
people don't like change at the end of the day.
Especially when it's so good.
I know. But, the hybrid era produced some of the best racing we've ever seen beforehand. Let's see.
Yeah, 2021 was also amazing, right? And then we're like, oh no, what are you doing? Yeah. So it happens. And hopefully in 2 or 3 years, it'll be the same again. It'll be good again. But we'll see. It's going to be... There's going to be more mistakes because of this. You're approaching speeds at the corners at different speeds each time. So you have to change your braking each time for this corner.
Yeah.
You'll see locking up more because you get it wrong. You'll see systems breaking down. Software has to be really switched on to adjust for, headwind. Okay, that means you're going to be using more energy. So it's just constant. Someone has to monitor all this. So I think there'll be lots of opportunities for people that just look in and get it right. And when it comes to like Shanghai, when there's only FP1 before sprint quali, and you got to figure out that track and where to harvest and all this. You can simulate some of it, but not all of it. It's going to be a bit of a guessing game.
The gaps probably will be bigger.
Oh, right? Huge, yeah. I think we're like 1.5 seconds off, weren't we, I think, or something like that. And that was like, I was expecting 4. So, yeah, who knows? We'll see in Melbourne. It's a very different track as well. Not much massive braking there compared to Bahrain. So we're going to be learning and absorbing and adjusting. Got to be very patient, I think, this year. Yeah. Everyone.
How Giles going to go through turn 1 with caution.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to see how Hadjar gets on versus Max. Because I really rate. I think he's the strongest with the best prep.
Yeah.
In the last 3 or 4 drivers that have tried to sit next to Max.
Yeah.
Because Liam was really thrown in the deep end and was at tracks that he'd never been to before, whereas Hadjar's had a full year.
That's it. Well, Yuki, obviously.
I feel bad. I mean, it's
had
just
a lot of time.
It has been a career-killing seat, hasn't it? For almost.
I don't think people
Liam's
realise.
the best off actually out of the last few because Tsunoda's now reserve. Danny Rick's gone. Who else was there? Perez is now back with Cadillac. But like everyone has been on a, and I feel especially bad for Yuki because I actually really rated him when he was at RB.
Yeah.
And he clearly just gets in that position, chucked in that car mid-season, and didn't actually do an awful job because he wasn't that actually far off Max. But it's just because it was so close, he ended up struggling to get into Q3s and stuff like that. But yeah, it's brutal.
Doesn't it show just how good Max is though?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, right?
And he shouldn't really have been, didn't really have the car, I don't think, to be fighting for a championship last year.
Yeah.
And I think whether you love him or you hate him, like I was never a Max fan before, I always respected him. But now I'm just like, you are. Mm-hmm. He is one of the people I look at that like, you're a bit of an alien. Do you know what I mean?
He's such a nice guy as well. He's not a douche at all. He'll help you out. He'll give the rookies all the help they want and advice they want. He's a proper
Liam said
proper nice kid.
Yeah, he said the same thing like on a podcast that Max was giving him all sorts of advice and he's really great with his teammates in esports. He gives really guides them. I think I find I go back to onboards of his like Saudi from a few years ago and I just think it's magic, just absolute magic. The technique, I think his ability to keep the tire, like the connection with the tire within the slip angle, like he just goes to the edge of the slip angle, then he's like away, and it's just so impressive. But is there anything that, like Liam, for example, like relate to on what he saw in Max's data?
Well, because I was watching Liam and I was watching Max on the onboards, just on F1 TV, you can kind of like China. It was that big long first corner.
Yeah,
Liam was obviously trying to go fast, so he was taking it in and trying to go quick. And then he causes a snap in the car. So then you lose the tyres, of course, because you've had one snap, that's it. It's like iRacing. Once you've had one snap, that's it for the next few corners. So then he just wastes that and then get angry with himself. Whatever, like every other driver would. But then Max, you watched him and you think, he must be an animal. But then you watch him steering and he's kind of like, he knows it's going to snap in 300 meters time, or it could. And you can see him sort of back off the wheel and just be, his head would be right round there, thinking about how to shape the whole corner. And you're like, you're actually really living what everyone teaches. You're not really going at, like we said at the very beginning, going after that first 100 meters. Nah, he's thinking about what this car needs over there. He's like an engineer on wheels.
Yeah.
And giving it exactly what it needs at the right time. And that's the bit under pressure that's hard to do.
Do you know if Max has a U? Does he have a mind coach?
No, I don't think he does. Nope.
Do you think a lot of his mentality comes from Jos and his very brutal upbringing?
Yeah, I think a lot of his mental work was done before we even knew him.
But I think, like he said, and we touched on this in the last podcast as well, and what you saw, because you were around him kind of when he was karting and maybe got into F3.
Yeah.
But like you said, it was kind of like, a bit of a tough watch sometimes with what was going on with Jos and Max. But Max says it was hard, but he wouldn't, he's grateful for it because he wouldn't be the animal he is now.
Yeah.
But I think you can tell when he speaks in interviews about whether he wants his kids racing and stuff like that. He's just like, I don't want them anywhere near. It's like, if they're interested in it, fine. But you can tell I think he's probably going to go the other way that his dad did with him.
I don't want my kids to go through that kind of thing.
But I just don't know how Max, and he's starting to speak in more interviews now, like, what's the point in winning, 7, 8, 9, 10 championships? He's like, I'll get to a point, if I'm not enjoying it anymore, basically I'll go and do other stuff that I've got other interests, GT3 racing, still racing, but I do it for fun, basically.
That shows you, doesn't it, where the difference. Not many people would say that.
But he's the most consistently intense and high-performing driver that I've witnessed in my lifetime. Like Lewis, yes, but he was also in a very good car for a good period of time. Then came kind of to blows with Max in around 2021. But I haven't seen someone, and I don't know how, because I experienced this, the peaks and troughs in, your performance and how driven you are. It does go up, even if it's slightly. But Max, how is he at this top level? He's won multiple championships now, and I know that he's going to go into this year. I put my life savings on him, outperforming his teammate, definitely. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And outperforming the car. How can he do that?
I think you've got to be quite intelligent as well to be a top driver. Like really, on what you're doing, in terms of even setup and stuff, you've got to be really switched on. And like he jumped in that Porsche, right, against who won the Super Cup 2 years ago?
Ten Vord.
Yeah. He kind of tested against him. You probably know about this. And he was right there immediately.
Yeah.
Day one. And you're like, that car couldn't be any more different than an F1 car.
And Larry's also, like, he was a bit of a Max in Porsche Super Cup.
Yeah.
Because you would put your money on him to win when he was doing it, because I think he tested with the Dutch team that I'm now racing with this year in Super Cup.
Okay.
And yeah, Morris did it as well, my ex-teammate. And interestingly, like, it was very neck and neck with Max and Larry. I think Larry ended up quicker.
Yeah.
But obviously that's his specialist car. But the fact that Max, it shows the level of Porsche Super Cup, by the way. If you don't know what that is, give it a watch, because it is so close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know how Max can hop in different things, or even care to hop in different things, if you know what I mean, and put his ego on the line. Because you look at him and you do see an ego there, but then clearly he's not too scared, or he has such a strong self-belief that he's not going to hop in something else and he's not going to be slow. And he's not going to be slow, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get outperformed by someone else. Because the Super Cup situation, testing, although it's not public, doing that or doing the Nürburgring thing he did really does put your rep on the line. And we know he's not going to be slow, but the bar is so high that if he's anything but ridiculously exceptional, that'll be a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
He's just him, mate. Like,
It is.
Figures
it out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Like,
It's a problem solved.
It's like certain artists, or other athletes that are just have like something.
You'll chuck them a different style guitar that they never played with, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Where other people won't, or they'll get flustered. But it's just that's the skill. That's the difference between the guys who can do it and the gals that can do it. Just jumping into a touring car and they'll be quick. Senna did it as well, right? You jump into something else and just be right there. They're presented with a bit of a challenge of this car requires you need to put the weight in a certain place around this corner to make it go around the corner at the right, how it's possible, what's the engine, when does the power come in? They kind of ask different questions. I remember being stood in the grandstand watching Max on, I think it was Formula Renault testing, really early on. He was so young. And his dad was in the grandstand with me at Hockenheim, and he said, what's the engine power of these cars? And I was like, I don't know, 175, was a complete guess. When's it, what's the rev band? When's the torque come in and all this? And I was like, he's asking questions that no one asks. And it just goes to show that's what Max is asking. It's like, tell me the nuances of this car, what it needs. Is it one that you have to carry speed through the corner? Is it one that you have to point and squirt? And they're more there figuring it out than anything else. And they'll get a kick out of that.
It's
and then the lap time is good, of course.
Yeah, they get a kick out of it for sure. Because I've heard of stories of Ayrton Senna when he was in Formula Ford and stuff, and to his engineer, he would say he would know what the tire pressures were without even seeing them. Like he would feel what tire pressure. He would say it like within whatever point, whatever. It's like not everyone could do. Not many people can do that.
Exactly, buddy. So that's that. These are the things that are hard to teach, right?
Yeah.
And the way it's set up now, when you've got a driver who's young, they're coming in, and by halfway through the first day, they're thinking about lap time. And you're like, no, you got to spend 3 years just learning the basics first before. Well, that's a bit exaggeration, but you know what I mean. They're worried about, so and so, I used to beat him in karting, and now he's ahead of me. Not even taking the time to learn this, are you?
Yeah.
So
well, it just backs
different.
up your point earlier. Focus more on process than outcome all the time. Like, can I do it? All these doubts. It's like craft all the time. That's what Max does.
You can imagine fighting against someone who's just completely in the craft compared to someone who's just worried about being good enough.
So true, yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
That guy's going to be an animal. So, that's
that
what I'm
it.
seeing in driving, and it's no different in anything.
What's a realistic time frame for your man Ollie to get in a Ferrari or something championship winning, do you think?
You think he'd want to be... I don't know what's going to happen this year with the new regs, but you want him to
Provided
be really
that he does well,
peacocking now, basically, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Say, come on, everyone look at the kid. I think there'll be quite a few teams that will be knocking at the door, to be fair. I don't actually know this, but I'm sure if he has another solid year, because he's got a good brand as well in terms of when, everybody loves him in the paddock. I don't think it'll be long before people are starting to sniff around, but obviously Ferrari have got first dibs.
Yeah.
So it depends what's happening with them seats, because there's always rumours about who's stepping away or who could for 2027. So he'll be just waiting there ready for that. But Ferrari are very good at not letting you know anything. They're like, no, you just keep doing what you're doing. And Red Bull do the same, actually. Just stop asking for the drive, because Liam was always told off. Just keep winning and everything will be all right. And that's all you're told. So I think that's a good idea, actually. Keep their head on the task.
I didn't believe it, and I think a lot of the viewers don't believe, with especially like Red Bull, when you have these last minute call ups, or with Ollie at Saudi and stuff, that they just have no idea that anything's going to happen.
Nope.
But it is true. They just get told, at breakfast on a Saturday.
And they could have a reserve driver there.
Yeah.
Like someone like a Van Dorn or someone. And you think,
pissed off.
they'll be first.
You'd be really pissed off.
They'll be first. And then all of a sudden you're on. Oh, okay.
Sat here drinking coffee all day, like waiting for my call up.
It's the worst job. I think Yuki's going to be beside himself. Because I know Liam was always, I hate doing this.
I
Because you
bet.
got to sit there all day, every day,
I know.
and just listen. You can't even really contribute. It's not like you can go around the track and watch and give some coaching tips. You just have to sit there, travel the world, put your life on hold, and you probably haven't even got a chance to get in. Even if something happens, you probably won't get it.
It does look like an awkward position, actually.
Yeah.
I found it hilarious when Liam said in an interview when the car, let's say the reserve, he's reserved for a certain team, a driver in that team, when they go and spin on track, the cameramen go and rush to his face to try and see if he's laughing or not.
Yeah.
Like just keeping us far down. I found that really funny. I really do love his like grit, Liam. I think I want to see him do well.
He's a little fighter.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I was going to ask, who do you think is next coming up through the ranks at the moment? Anyone's caught your eye?
I can't even see a gap. I mean, I like if you go underneath F2, Freddie is doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
You know him from the back in the day, right? He used to be at iZone quite a bit.
He did
He's
go
later.
to
Fusion
his
driver.
family, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's looking good. But I tell you what, when I'm looking out there now, it's very wide in terms of there's a lot of drivers out there. But to spot the ones that you're thinking you're going all the way, it's good luck. The driver programs don't even know. It's really hard. Like you said, how do you know? You don't. That's why a lot of them get picked up, dropped, because you're just guessing. You're just putting them on your driver program because you don't want to miss out just in case they are good. And you might not even giving them any money. You're just putting your stamp on them saying they're ours. But it's really hard because then you got to be with the right team, probably having a bit of a sucky year for no reason. You just get on with that car. So you're really good. And they put you in the next car and you're not. It's so hard to guess. So I'm not seeing any superstars, but that's because it's just left, right, and centre. There's thousands of them now, so it's hard to stand out.
Yeah, we had Luciano.
But they're all really good. Top of they're all the standard. Usually it's within a second, right? The top 20 in most championships.
Yeah.
So everyone's really close now with these modern cars.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's impressive. I did work with F4, British F4, and like they're impressive. Like they've got also a proper team around them. You know, full management. Like nutritionists. Like everything is crazy. So
you have to pay 6 figures now for your support crew.
Just for the support,
management, coach, travel.
Yeah.
You probably got a
Just
physio and a mental coach and a driver coach and a manager. It's all over the place. So if each one of them is on 40k before travel, it stacks up, right? So it's a big money now.
The travel with the F1 weekends. I mean, like factored into our budget as well with Super Cup, and we're only doing 7 of the weekends, 8 of the weekends this year. It's just crazy because like even like and luckily I've got a sponsor that covers the. They do Formula One packages. They cover the rental cars, the flights, and the hotels.
Mega.
But on F1 weekends, everything's like 3x, 4x the price anyway.
Yep.
But this is things that, I mean, quite a few drivers are now starting to speak about, where it's just like, you get your budget for your racing, that doesn't involve, that'll be a silly figure, and then that doesn't involve your travel, and that doesn't involve your worst case crash damage, and it doesn't involve your insurance.
Yep.
And it's just like, when you actually stick all those things on with my season, it adds like another 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
More like 20% on top.
It's so true. Like when I'm coaching someone, I'd say the wage is so much, but then the expenses are more.
Yeah.
So the rental car, the flights and everything, it's more than you're actually getting paid. So you're paying for 2 people really just to be there. It's crazy. And that's normal weekends. F1 is bonkers.
Yeah. That's why I think it was just so impressive, Liam's journey as well, getting to Formula One, because he didn't have that, did he?
Try and do that again.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So someone says, okay, he had 0 budget, not just a little bit, 0. Go and do it again. I bet he couldn't, because you have to just do that, get the money together to do that Formula Ford race. You happen to do well. Someone sees you. You win a scholarship. That's good. You go and do a scholarship in America. You get the name out there. Didn't quite work. Come back. Some sponsors all of a sudden go, you know what? We can see how hard you're working in New Zealand. We can just about get you through F4. You do really good in F4. Red Bull come. It's like all these things have to align.
Yeah.
But so that means there's plenty that are just as good, I should say, good enough for F1 that are being missed out now because they don't get them opportunities, or the timing wasn't right, or maybe they're just not as charismatic or whatever.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Hard.
You just want to find out like who. Obviously, it was Lewis, and then now there's Max. Like, who's next? You know, that's like the question.
One
Who
every
is
10
the
years,
next?
though, right? It's one every 10 years.
It
You get
is
a proper
about one
one.
every 10 years. Yeah. But oh yeah, I was going
It's
to.
Ollie Bearman and Liam Lawson. What you on about?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Starting out.
Last year, Ollie was showing, yeah, as Gus said, world championship material.
Ollie Bearman's fast. No, he is.
Trailer clip. That's it.
No, he's honestly. I think I said that last time as well. I said he's ridiculously quick, and he is, and that's why I said he's this heat-seeking missile because he brakes later than everyone, and you can see on data as well when you compare him to the whole field because you get the public data. He's going through corners in that car last year that he shouldn't have been quicker than Leclerc, but he is, and it's like this guy is an animal.
He was quicker than Leclerc in the Haas.
Certain corners, yeah,
Right.
not all corners.
No,
of
no,
course.
no. Certain.
But he just shouldn't be.
Ollie Bearman's faster than Leclerc in a hat.
Start it. No, no, but
Kenny
honestly,
Warriors.
I get
Call
the
the
same.
Charles Leclerc fans in the comments.
I get the same feeling with him as I got with Max when I was like, "You just wait, it's coming."
Yeah.
Honestly, it is there, and it's nice when you see it, but no one else has yet. But
Yeah.
he is definitely one of them.
He could be
One of the
next.
drivers.
He could be next.
I also just like how, yes, he's obviously got that incredible confidence about him, but I don't know him very well, but I've met him a couple times, and nothing about him or his humbleness has changed at all.
Nope.
Despite the fact he's, 19, 20, and, being talked about like this as one of the, the next up-and-coming future potential world champions.
Just keeps doing stuff. Honestly, the engineer will come back. I don't know how he did that, and it'd be like every weekend, but at some point he'll say that about the driver, and like that was phenomenal. And he was really punching, wasn't he, at the end of the year in terms of the pace? It was really good, and it's a shame we didn't have that car again or them regs. But to be fair, he still looked just as rocking in this new one at Bahrain. It's just in a different way now. We've got to drive the car very consistent. But he was picking off lap times within, which is really hard when the tyres dig in, within half a tenth constantly. Bang, bang, bang. I was like, okay, he's in his rhythm right now. So no, he's one to watch.
He's one of those guys, if he gets in the flow, he's just
Yeah.
almost pretty much unstoppable.
And the racecraft is good.
Yeah.
He's very fast in the head in terms of the information he can withhold is ridiculous, and how quick he's kind of always ahead of you when you're trying to say something.
Oh,
You can nearly guess it. And you can only say something once to him. You ain't got time if you say it twice. He's like really quick in the head, which is also very rare. And he'll figure stuff out before you've even tried to figure it out yourself. The engineers have to keep up with him.
I was going to say, what's your job when it's going really well? I mean, you say you literally only sometimes get 20 minutes with him because of their ridiculous schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we kind of know definitely what your job is when it's maybe not going to plan or it's a tougher weekend. But then when he's on top of the world, and I know he doesn't have the problem, which is great for you, of being like overly confident or, arrogant about his performances. But what's your kind of day-to-day weekend like with Ollie when it's going well?
When it's going well, it's kind of, I don't think it changes much at all. So we're trying to educate him. I'm trying to educate him mostly on results are literally just feedback, right? So when it's going well, it's like, why did it go well? When it doesn't go to plan, why didn't it go to plan? So it doesn't actually change a thing. We have the same debrief. What can we actually do in that bit? Because there's always something wrong, right? So you uncover that. So it's basically, it stays monotone in the room. It really does. And it'd be like, no, you're putting a negative on a positive result. But it's like there isn't any. It's just feedback. And like when we talk about what Max does, and it's all about looking at the craft, that should never change. Just because other people didn't do a good job. So honestly, it doesn't. The debrief is just as long when it's a good or a bad result. Apart from people around are a lot happier, of course.
Yeah.
But he'll have something that's niggling at him, like, nah, it was a good result, but this bit next time.
That's the key
So
ingredient.
he's just
to
as
have.
as an idiot to it as I am. It's like, what's next? And you know, in this sport, that you have a good result doesn't mean anything, because the next one you're probably going to get your arse handed to you. So you can't, and you're probably out next week as well in F1.
Yeah.
Let's get ahead to that now. So it doesn't stop, buddy. Honestly, it's very ungrateful, actually, the way we approach it. You don't get time to. I mean, I have to remind myself every day what to be grateful for, literally. Otherwise, you wouldn't. You'd just be constantly in the mill.
I've said this before in other podcasts. I'm the same, even like during race weekends. Like in the off season, you know, I'm not asking for sympathy, but it can be like very lonely, very boring, and so much uncertainty because you don't know what all this works, and you don't know if you're going to get the full funding and it's going to work. You've got to just have that kind of delusional belief that it is, and luckily it did for this year for me. But the same with racing. Like I'll be at a weekend, could be at Monaco, which most people will be like, "Wow, that's amazing! You get to drive this," and I think they see it as like I'm smiling in my helmet as I'm driving around. It's like polar opposite. But then I also think I'm like, yes, I need to remember, and I always do, that you're ridiculously privileged to be in this position, and so many people want to be in that position, whether good team, bad team, testing, no testing, whatever.
Yep.
But is there a scenario which almost too much gratitude or too much thinking about, I'm so lucky to be here, too much hurts?
I don't think you do you? It's probably how many minutes a day do you think that compared to the opposite?
I don't, but I can imagine people who don't make it sometimes don't make it because they're a bit overwhelmed at how great everything, or they lean into it a bit too much, because you've got to have that sense of you've got to have the lack of comfort, in my opinion. Like if you knew in F1, I'm sure Ollie's intensity would drop if he knew guaranteed he's in F1 for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And he's gonna stay with Haas.
Yep.
But he doesn't. He knows he could be with Ferrari maybe next year. He knows he might not be with anyone next year. And I think that's what keeps him alive.
I think there's always a scale to everything, right? Like a dial. And if you're over this, even in your diet, if you just do this kind of food only, your health is going to suffer. So there's never it's not binary. It's always this balance of, and you know when you hit it, it's like, this is about right now. You know, I'm intense about what's coming and I'm a bit peed off about this, but actually it could be worse because 3 years ago I was in this position. Right, let's get back to work. So I think you just got to constantly play with that. But yeah, of course you can go completely the other way. And your house could be burning, but you're really grateful that you can feel the flames in your skin. Too much.
Yeah.
We need to get out of there. It's hurting. So yeah, I think there's always that balance, but everyone's kind of starting at a different level. So some need more than others. Same for intensity, or calm that person down. There's the sweet spot for that person. I think you got to learn that as you go through. For me, it's just like, as I walk to the gym in the morning, I've got one song I listen to. And as it's playing, I'm thinking about, that tree over there. I'm grateful for my eyes that can see that tree. Anything like that, whatever comes up. Grateful for this podcast I'm going for today. That was literally what I said. And that's it. It's 2.5 minutes, done. So that's fine for me. That'll do. But if I don't do it, I do feel like there's something missing.
Yeah.
And over the days, it can go diddle-diddle-diddle, and then you're bitching about small stuff again. Not important.
Right. Well,
I did have loads of things in my head as while you're talking, but they've all gone.
I was just gonna say, yeah, because I think.
I was going to ask you about your racing.
Yeah.
Are you against big man DeHaan this time? Is he doing
I don't
it?
think so. So I've seen. Obviously, they're not. I don't think they're open to the public, but I've announced I'm doing Super Cup and who with, and Germany and who with.
Okay.
But I've seen the entry list for Germany, and I can say he's not on there.
Because I coached him last year. I mean, that year.
Did
you were there, yeah. He was an interesting one.
Right, okay.
And the year before.
So you're coaching my competition.
Yes, I
Coached him
was.
in F4, right?
No, just after F4.
Oh, was it just after F4?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
He's
2 years in Porsche,
as he did Cup
basically.
cars.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe.
That's another one who's rapid, but you have to constantly pull back the chain. Because actually, second year wasn't too bad, but the first year, I remember Tim Harvey saying when he did the British stuff, what's another track limit? And then another one, and then 10 seconds penalty. So he'd go too fast for the car, but he was ridiculously fast.
He is quick.
Immediately.
Really?
But obviously, then it makes you go too much.
Rob's really quick. I mean, it's the same. I mean, in a very different way. Like, you know, Super Cup, similar to F2, you're never going to be up against bad competition. I know some of the names in there. In Germany, I can guess they're doing Super Cup. I kind of guess who's doing Super Cup as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there'll be more Dehans coming through
Yeah.
that will surprise us this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go into a year which I haven't had since probably 2022, where I don't have many excuses or any excuses. Where testings, yes, there will be drivers who have more testing, but I realise doing what I'm doing, looking at my calendar now, how much of a disadvantage I've been at previously. I obviously knew that, but we've got half the season in Carrera Cup Germany before Super Cup even starts. And, an adequate testing program with good teams for what's to come. So I'm just excited as a real test of me to not go out for quali and go, okay, if I really pull my finger out, I can maybe get P8. I want it to be like, if I have the car and I have the prep to get pole.
So let's watch this podcast back and take all the lessons from it.
Yeah.
Stick to the craft,
Just watch
go
it on
deep.
repeat.
After the first race.
Yeah, no talk about positions. It's just like, I'm obsessed with getting this car around this corner. How the hell do I do that? And just keep your head there.
Yeah.
And you'll be so different then, like just thinking that. Let everyone else worry about this stuff.
It's true. And it's easy to let that mindset kind of slip in of all the outcome stuff when you also, which wrongly, but I kind of knew I was underprepared. I knew also there was some political stuff going on with the team that meant that I knew in me that I wasn't going to have the best car, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just really excited to go into, this year with that kind of task focus.
Yeah.
One thing my dad said to me the other day was just like, I think kind of maybe he realised that there was, obviously, I've wrote my whole family now basically into getting me sponsorship. So my sister's my full-time commercial manager.
Yeah.
Dad manages loads of boring stuff in the background that are super important.
Everyone's all in.
And they're both super grateful for them, have been incredibly vital to me getting on both grids this year.
Yeah.
But I think he realised that there's lots of money being invested into me from lots of different people, and there's lots of time and effort going in from the family, and that I'm intelligent enough to be thinking, there's a lot on the line here. But actually, part of me really likes that in a way. I like that my back's up against the wall. I know that it's a do or die year for me, and he was just like, enjoy it.
Yeah, it is. Throw yourself into it. Like, it's like, I want to go all out now and just enjoy it as well. Just go all in, and it's like, just be a driver as much as you can. You said you got to do this and that. When you're there, make sure you are just, I'm a driver and I'm driving a car. And keep it really basic. Don't overcomplicate it, and just freaking embrace it. Got my ass kicked today. Brilliant. What am I going to learn from that? Just completely change everything you used to do before that brought on any stress or pressure. It's like, no, this is amazing.
Yeah.
We're going for it. And it is good, because you'll be look back when you're 60, 70, 80, like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
But just tell yourself that now, and then you'll be like, right, what am I going to do today?
Yeah, because thoughts can creep in. I definitely did for me in the past, where if you're going for like a year where you feel you should be winning the title or something, as soon as a bad weekend happens, you're like, you can easily get the thought of, it's not my year. But actually what you just said, no, I'm going to bounce back from this. This is the opportunity now.
Yeah.
All the time, task focus. So yeah, it's so true.
That's the thing to work. So if you're going to do mental reps every day, it's bring it back to that. Like, what have I got to do? Not how do I feel about it? What have I got to do? What have I got to do? Just keep it there as much as you can, and you'll be an animal. And then at least you, like, if I'm slower, fine. I'll find out what it is on the corner, rather than, how's that make me look? What's this mean now to the sponsors? Like, no. Yeah. You got to have like that proper warrior mind, I think, where it's just execute and do and feedback and go. Animal.
You available?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Amongst your 24 F1 weekends.
Yeah. I'm actually only doing about 12 this year, but I can't do the 24.
Well, you can spend more than 20 minutes a day with me.
Of course.
Spend the other like 23 hours and whatever. What is it?
Plenty of time.
40 minutes. There you go, quick math.
That'll be a pleasure. I'll come and see you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure there's so much more we could talk about, but another very interesting podcast with you.
Thanks, my brothers.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Love you so much. All right. Thank you, Enzo.